Hi everyone, I hope everyone's well. This evening I'm playing Austerlitz. This is part of the 3 Days of Glory multi-game pack from Victus. I've done some videos on some of the other games that come in this pack. This is the largest game. It's actually 2 maps, and I've zoomed in a little bit on the map just to mostly show the counters. There's a bit of space down here at the bottom as well. I've got the whole game set up. So this is the historical scenario, and which I've set up. I just need to double check everything, and then I'll be ready to play. It is I'm not sure how many turns. I think it could be 9 turns. I think without double checking, something like that. Let me just have a quick check. Yeah, 9 turns, and there are a substantial number of mostly French reinforcements that will come onto the table. The first few turns are going to be pretty quiet, I think, and it'll be around about turns 3 and 4, 3, 4, 5, and then onwards. Took a little while to set up, not too long, to be honest with you. And it looks great. It looks great on the. It's actually of all their games that I've played, this is probably the largest footprint, because you can't probably see on the camera, but that's actually the line between the 2 maps. It's actually two paper mats put together. They overlap very nicely. So it's one of the larger games in this sort of series of tactical Napoleonic games. But yeah, it looks great. Looking forward to getting stuck in. I'll probably play it over the course of a few evenings, I think. I don't think I'll do 9 turns because there's quite a lot of different formations. Although the first few turns will play quite quickly. When you sort of get, like I said, especially turns 4 onwards, there's going to be quite a lot of activations to do. So yeah, looking forward to it. I mean, it looks great. So nothing too much major to report in the first couple of turns, and that's mostly because of the weather and the way the activation markers work in the first few turns of this game. But the French are pretty much a static line, and their enemies are sort of starting to move into some sort of position here. Because I'm playing the game solo, I thought what would make an interesting game over the next couple of evenings is have both sides predominantly try and push on each other and kind of see what happens almost. In case you're wondering, these counters here, I'm using these to mark the objective hexes. Because I'm playing solo, I'm using the orders rule, but I only mark the units that are given orders. So I'm using those. So therefore, there's no units with no orders markers required, because if they don't have orders, then they have no orders. Does that make sense? But the point is, I'm using these to mark the objectives. And there's a couple of objective hexes here, for example. So yeah, the next turn will be quite dramatic. The next 2 turns will be super dramatic. Or they'll start to become more dramatic as more and more units will start to be activated. So there'll be a lot of moving to do. So we've just done turn number 3. Now I realised earlier I should have started on turn number 2, but I started on turn number 1. It doesn't matter, to be honest with you. So I'm going by the turn track on the board. So I've just done turn number 3 on the board, which should have been turn number 2. I don't know. Turn number 3. Reinforcements have come on to the board. A lot more activations. That's what matters. The gameplay. So just move that AM chit out of the way there. So we're getting the formation starting to form up against each other. We're getting lots of French here. Their opponents, these haven't moved yet. These have started to move here. The French have got some reinforcements. They're just probably off camera. So we're getting ready for some fierce fighting. I think that is going to be on the cards for this evening between these. I mean, it's actually 3 forces, but between these 2 sides. Everything's looking neat and tidy, which is going to help the combat as well. So obviously playing it solo, I'm orchestrating things a certain way for a certain narrative that I want to see how that's going to shake out. But yeah, it looked. I want to say it's 100 times. It looks great on the table. Really, really pleased. Everything just looks, yeah, and it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun rolling the dice, which is again all that matters. So this is the end of turn number 4, and as you can see, there's a large amount of swirling melee combat in this section here, and it's been quite an eventful section here. Some of these counters are routing off the board. Then the same here and here as well. So we're just sort of getting into the thick of combat. I would say, looking at the board and playing the turn, it feels like the French have the upper hand at the moment, but that can change. Got some a lot of because of the rules of fog. That's changed sort of some of the gameplay quite significant, which of course is historically accurate with Austerlitz, and the actual fog rules work quite well, I think. So the next turn is some more reinforcements and some more activation markers to go in. That last turn took a little while because there's quite a lot of activation markers to go through. So I think the next turn, well, actually that's the maximum number there'll be, because there is a constraint on the some of the activation markers. I just need to double check that every single turn exactly how that works. So yeah, it feels like the sort of tipping point quite early in the battle actually. We'll see how we get on. So at the end of that turn, as you can see, the French are really pushing back the opposing forces here. On this area here, it's a bit of a mixed bag, but the French are starting to sort of spearhead it up here. In this section here, here, had the French heavy cavalry come in and make a massive impact. And here against the French are pushing their enemy back. Same here. This is the side where feels like it could go either way still. But this side is half the sort of, if we split the battlefield into two, this side feels very much the French side. So Napoleon's waiting here to see how this fares before sending these units in. Yeah, very close, very closely fought here, and a bit more push and shove here from the French. So quite a bit of drama in the last turn. The French have been able to make some headway, but there's some enemy reinforcements coming onto the board that have slowed them down and starting to push them back. This is quite tensely fought here in this area. This sort of middle section of the map, the French are definitely making great progress and routing enemies left, right and centre. This section here again is a maelstrom of combat, with it flipping between the two sides. And the French are being pushed back. They've been pushed back from these objectives here. So I think the next turn, I think Napoleon will activate these units here and bring these up to see if they can swing the difference back. It's an interesting decision, because what the French could do is bring these units into this side and these up to the front, up to right in front of them, to swing both those two parts of the battle back in their favour. So yeah, we'll see how the chip is. And it is a lot of the game is about the chip pool. So we will see how that works out. Another turn in, and the French are definitely pushing a wedge in between these two halves here. They've also got, in fairness, the upper hand here. There's a lot of the opponent's army's counters here, but the reality is I don't think they really worry the French too much. Plus the French have got these guard grenadier reinforcements coming up through here and here. Off camera, they've also got some more reinforcements coming here. So depending on the die rolls, they'll make considerable difference. I have enough time this evening to do another turn, so I will do another turn. If I didn't have time, I probably would call the game there. I don't think. Well, I definitely think it's a victory to the French, or I've played enough for it to feel like a victory to the French. I should say probably. Even though technically these victory hexes here and here, yeah, I know, but I think that the French will just be able to push them back out. So yeah, well, like I said, I've got just enough time to do another turn this evening, and then I'll see how that goes, and I'll be tempted to call the game there. Very enjoyable a few evenings playing this game. So, but I've got enough time to do one more turn. It's quite a few. They're off camera. I've stacked them off camera, but there are quite a few activation markers to go through on a turn. So a turn takes quite a while on this particular scenario. But we'll do one more turn. So we're going to finish the game there. The French managed to push the enemy out of the victory hexes here, which, to be honest with you, was never really any doubt. They brought these grenadiers on into combat. I actually held the Imperial Guard back slightly because there are, if you engage with the Imperial Guard, there's some victory points, and I didn't see the need really. It's just for the sake of it. So these were the key object. These were the victory. These are the objective hexes here. So these 4 here were in the French hands, and these 2 on the opposing side. It was a fun game. It's quite for this game series. It's quite a big game. There are an awful lot of these activation markers. So each coloured sort of formation has one or 2 of these. And there's a lot for this game, so you've got a lot of, which is basically, this is like a chip pull mechanic. I've talked about it a few times now. So in the cup, there are a lot of these, and that's what makes the game, makes it very solo friendly, and is sort of, you don't know which counter is going to be pulled, and then you have to see if they've been given an order or not, and if they haven't been given an order, you have to roll dice, etc. But it basically means it takes quite a while to do a game like this, where there's a lot of, and there's stacks and stacks and stacks of them to put in the cup every time. So this is definitely one of the bigger games in this series that I have ever played. I haven't played every single game in the series, but this is, I think, by far the biggest one that I have played. There's a few others that I remember taking a few evenings, but this has been set up now for sort of 3 or 4 evenings. Gameplay, so yeah, it's a bigger scenario, but it feels a lot more epic for that, which is good fun. This is the historical version, and the French, I felt, had the upper hand for the vast majority of the game. But still good fun to play solo, play for the narrative, to see what happens, and make some decisions and move some counters and roll some dice. So yeah, good fun. So I think I will do for this particular game. I'll probably do a different video for a full review of the game. I've done AARs for a lot of the different scenarios you get in the game, so check those out as well. And yep, thanks for watching as ever. Thank you.